symposium hosted by Carleton University's School of Journalism and Communication to examine the intersection between journalism and the pandemic. My name is Alan Thompson. I'm the head of Carleton's journalism program and the chair of this symposium. Before I go into details about the agenda for our event, I have two important matters to attend to. First, from my office here at Carleton University, overlooking the beautiful Rideau River, I'd like to acknowledge that this university and my home in Ottawa, Canada, are situated on the unceded and unsurrendered territory of the Algonquin Nation. I also like to invite Dr. Brenda O'Neill, the Dean of Carleton University's Faculty of Public Affairs, to say a few words of welcome. Dean O'Neill.
Thank you, Alan. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. It's my pleasure to be here this morning to welcome you. I know that there's 900 of you registered for this event, so that's terrific. But to welcome you, even if it's virtually, to Carleton University and the Faculty of Public Affairs. Carleton Faculty of Public Affairs is actually unique in Canada. There's no other faculty that brings together a dozen academic departments, schools, and institutes that are focused on examining issues that are central to the public affairs of this country. Our graduates go on to work as journalists, policy analysts, economists, international aid workers, social workers, lawyers, the list goes on. Each of the strong and distinctive units in the faculty have a clear commitment to public action and discourse. The School of Journalism and Communication, which is just now marking its 75th anniversary, is almost as old as Carleton University itself and has earned a well-earned reputation internationally. It's only appropriate then that Carleton's Journalism School is organizing and hosting this important and timely gathering at the intersection of journalism and COVID-19. I'm relatively new to Carleton with less than a month as dean under my belt, but one of my key priorities is to increase the recognition of the faculty's strengths and reputation. The mission of the Faculty of Public Affairs: to produce research to build better societies and stronger democracies, to foster informed citizenship, to address regional and global challenges, and to enhance and inform public discussion has never been more important than right now during this extraordinary period in history. And that mission is exemplified by this very event. So even though we can't meet in person on campus at this particular time, we continue to come together and connect in innovative ways. And one of the ways to do that is through online events like this one. So on behalf of the Faculty of Public Affairs and Carleton Universities, I want to welcome you to this remarkable symposium and wish you well over the next 2 days. Hope it's 2 days filled with fruitful discussion and debate. And in the months ahead, I wish you good health. Please enjoy your symposium.
Thanks very much, Dean O'Neill. So as I said at the outset, Journalism in the Time of Crisis is a 2-day symposium hosted by Carleton University's Journalism School to explore the intersection between journalism and the COVID-19 pandemic. Carleton's Journalism School, the oldest in Canada, was founded in October of 1945 in the wake of the Second World War. In the shadow of another global crisis, we're hosting this international online forum to look for lessons in the role journalism has played during the pandemic. We chose this topic and this conference to kick off a year of 75th anniversary events. Journalism as an industry and a profession was already experiencing a profound crisis when the COVID-19 pandemic plunged the world into a state of deep uncertainty. And yet, people around the globe have turned to journalists to help them make sense of the most significant social and economic crisis of our generation. Over the course of 2 days, through 6 keynote speakers and no less than 17 panels involving dozens of experts from around the world, this symposium will explore the nexus of journalism and COVID-19 crisis to assess both the short and long-term impacts. I'd like to note that a group of 14 Carleton journalism students comprise a multimedia news team that will cover this event from gavel to gavel, producing a podcast, managing our social media presence on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and by posting stories to a medium.com newsroom site. After the fact, we'll package all of the panels and keynotes in YouTube videos that will be made available to all. We'll also produce a publication to document this event and our discussions. Together, We'll examine such issues as the role journalists have played during the pandemic, the impact of the crisis on journalism practice and business models, the future of local news, the ongoing contest between journalism and misinformation, the underreporting of the racialized impact of COVID-19, threats to global media freedom, media ethics, the impact in the global south, and the implications for journalism education. This pandemic has forced journalists and news organizations to confront a host of unprecedented challenges in terms of news gathering, storytelling, ethics, workplace management, financial stability, distributing their product, and much more. News professionals are adapting to the new reality of a world in full-blown crisis. But what will it mean for the future of journalism? Will it ever be the same? Or are we seeing shades of the new normal? All of this continues to unfold in an era of economic, technological, and political disruption in the news industry. The old business models supporting journalism had all but collapsed in the years between the global financial crisis of 2008 and the global health crisis of 2020. Rapid technological change presented many promising opportunities for journalism, but also upended traditional revenue streams and news gathering norms, creating a wide range of impacts, most notably massive job cuts and news business closures throughout the industry worldwide. This event is called Journalism in the Time of Crisis, a riff perhaps on the classic Gabriel Garcia Marquez novel, Love in the Time of Cholera. But we also made a conscious decision not to include the word pandemic in the title. We hope that the lessons learned during this time will have application in the post-pandemic period. And we very much look forward to the post-pandemic period. So our mission here is to see what we can learn about the role of journalism during an unprecedented crisis and look for ways to apply those lessons in the future. From the outset, in the planning process, we decided to hold this event online. That's a good thing. We opted for a new platform called Socio to integrate the multiple Zoom calls required to stage close to 25 mini events within a 2-day conference. I'm pleased to report, as the Dean said at the outset, more than 900 people from around the world have registered for this event. I thank each and every one of you. And I thank especially the keynote speakers, moderators, and panelists, close to 90 of them, who have taken time to join us online today and tomorrow. Now, I'm very much aware that we're asking you to put in even more screen time in an era of growing Zoom fatigue. I call it repetitive Zoom injury. So we're going to try something different to keep participants engaged during 2 full days of online events. At various points, we'll have mindfulness, meditation, and drumming breaks with Val Shaw, a drum practitioner. Val uses a combination of drumming, yes, drumming with your hands on your desk, and mindfulness to energize, relieve stress, and foster calm and clarity. She calls it DROM, combination of drumming and meditation to energize and relieve stress. Please give it a try. Now, if you're watching, you clearly figured out how to get onto the Socio platform. But now that you're here, I encourage you to look around. Check out the navigation on the left side of your screen. In addition to looking at the daily agenda for the symposium and clicking on the panels or keynotes you want to join, there are many other features. You can click on speakers to read the biographies of all of our presenters. Learn about our event partners on the next tab. Under documents, you can find a number of links assembled by our research assistant, links to material we think is relevant to our panel discussions. We also want to crowdsource these lists. We invite you to click through to the Google Doc where you can suggest material that you'd like to add. Finally, click on Follow Us for links to all of the platforms where news about this event is being posted by members of our multimedia team. Read their stories, listen to the podcast, and engage with the social media content. I should end so that we can begin. But just a reminder, after every one of these sessions, you should go back to the agenda and click on the next event you want to follow. And whenever you are asked for a password, enter crisis. Right after this opening, we'll hear from Ed Yong, a remarkable journalist for The Atlantic, who started writing about this pandemic before it even began. My money is on Ed winning a Pulitzer for his COVID coverage. Let me finish by thanking those who helped to make this happen. Carleton University is the host of this event through the School of Journalism and Communication. We're supported by a generous grant from SSHRC, the Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council, as well as financial contributions from CG, the Center for International Governance Innovation, the American Press Institute in Washington, and CPAC, the Cable Public Affairs Channel. Carleton has also partnered for this event with the Canadian Association of Journalists and the Center for International Media Assistance. I'd like to thank my colleagues here at Carleton who are also working on this project: Aniran Bosley, Randy Boswell, Sarah Everts, Brett Popowell, Scott Mitchell, our research assistant, Rachel Morgan, and the video editing team of Dave Elliott and Randy Bowler. And in particular, I'd like to thank Anne Blaney from CG for all of her work, and MJ student Hannah Rivkin, who has built a phenomenal student multimedia team. And with that, let me again welcome you to Journalism in the Time of Crisis. Our first keynote with Ed Yong begins in a couple minutes at 9 a.m. I'll see you over the course of the next 2 days.